What is going on, guys? I'm Optimus Phillip, and I did not like this week's episode of Percy Jackson. Not only is it completely different to the book, to the point where it feels like they've just given up on book accuracy completely, but it also feels like they've given up on myth accuracy, so I don't even see what the appeal is anymore. For some reason, this episode is a mashup of two separate parts of the book. It combines the Circe chapter and the Sirens chapter into a single story about Circe trying to help Percy and Annabeth get past the sirens. And let's start with Circe because this episode gets her character completely wrong. The way that Circe operated in the book was that any man that came to the island, she would turn into a guinea pig, and any woman that came to the island, she would take under her wing as a protege and teach them magic because that was her way of surviving in a patriarchal world. And this is more or less consistent with how she's portrayed in mythology. This episode completely abandons all that, and instead sets Circe up as a helper of heroes, both male and female. She even says at one point that her fatal flaw is that she helps people too much, which, yeah, I feel like Eurylochus will have some things to say about that. They have this whole setup where Circe is cursed to remain on this island, helping heroes get past the sirens, only for them to completely abandon her when they do. And they try to play this off as established mythology. Percy says that his mother told him this exact story, which I have no idea where she got it from. That doesn't sound like any Circe story that I know. If anything, this sounds more like the story Calypso tells in Battle of the Labyrinth. It's actually kind of funny considering that Rick has mixed up the names Circe and Calypso at least once in the books. Now it seems like he's combining their stories, so I guess that wasn't a typo after all. There's also this really random line where Circe says that she's not a monster, a god, or a demigod, which is kind of weird considering that in mythology and in the books, she is 100% a goddess. Even in this episode, she mentions Hecate being her mother, so I don't know what this line is supposed to mean or how it's supposed to make any sense. It's just a minor thing, but it really messes with me. As far as the sirens go, their design in this show is kind of weird. Those rock creatures that I pointed out in my trailer reaction, yeah, those are supposed to be the sirens, it turns out. I don't know what's going on here. That is not how the sirens are described as looking in the book or in any mythology. In the book, the sirens are described as being these bird-like creatures with human heads, which I believe is how they're described in the Odyssey as well. I know there are some other mythical sources that describe them as being more mermaid-like, but I don't know of any story that describes them looking like this, so it's kind of a weird choice. But I will give them this, they are genuinely terrifying here. There's a scene in this episode where they lure in a guy who is trying to ride past on a jet ski, and instead of just crashing into the rocks, he walks right up to them, and they tear him limb from limb to eat him alive. They don't show anything, but they show just enough to make you really feel the impact of what they're doing. And there's even a little bit of blood on the helmet when they cut back. So, yeah, that's genuinely well done horror. I gotta give them props for that. So the central conflict of this episode is that Percy and Annabeth need to overcome their fatal flaws, because that's how the sirens lure people in. So we get a little bit of character exploration there, which is interesting. But at the same time, it also leads to yet more heavy-handed Percabeth moments. Like, when they talk about Percy's fatal flaw of loyalty and how much he'd sacrifice to save a friend, he comes right out and says that if he had to choose between saving Annabeth and saving Olympus, he would burn it all down for her, specifically. Not just for a friend, for Annabeth. And then later on, when they do make it past the sirens, they have this whole conversation about how neither of them would have made it past without the other, and it is just so obvious that they are trying to force these two together, and it is just way too early for this. Like, I know I keep harping on it, but I think it genuinely bears repeating. Percabeth is a slow burn romance. They do not get together until the very end of the series. This is a relationship that needs time to grow and mature and build up to these moments. We shouldn't be getting this level of romance between them this early on. This episode also has a subplot where Clarice is captured by Polyphemus and her and Grover try to escape together, which is alright. It's not exactly how things go in the book, but it gives them more to do, so I'm fine with it. The only real issue I have with this subplot is the ending, where Polyphemus reveals that he knew Grover was a satyr the entire time and was just playing along to lure Percy into a trap. It is very obviously trying to be subversive, which I don't quite get. Like, this isn't a parody or a deconstruction. It is supposed to be an adaptation of the book. Originality and subversiveness aren't part of the assignment, so I don't understand why they feel the need to go this route. Also, for the few of you who follow me over on Blue Sky, even though I really don't post there very often, you may recall that I totally predicted how Percy would get turned into a guinea pig in this episode. In the early promotional footage, there was a shot of Circe blowing a powder into the camera, and I predicted that that would be how she turns Percy into a guinea pig instead of tricking him into drinking a potion like in the book, and sure enough, that's exactly how they did it. Percy and Annabeth figure out very early on that Cece is actually Circe, and much later on, Percy has a confrontation with her that ends with her blowing the magic powder at him, turning him into a guinea pig. So, yeah, I totally called it. They're still doing things like this, and I really wish they would stop. We do get to see Blackbeard in this episode, which was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't sure they would actually go through with it. I even put it on the bingo card. But he does actually appear. They don't mention him being a son of Ares, but it is really fun to see him, and I'm glad they included him. The climax of the episode, of course, is Percy and Annabeth sailing past the sirens, and they do it completely differently from how it goes in the book. First of all, it's Percy that gets tied to the mast instead of Annabeth, which I think kind of misses the point. In the book, Annabeth was tied to the mast because she wanted to hear the sirens song because she thought she'd be wiser for it. And this sets her up to fall into their trap and realize just how bad her problem with hubris is. Here, we get none of that. We completely miss out on that point. I guess Percy being tied to the mast reflects his fatal flaw of always sacrificing for his friends, but I don't know, I think we're gonna get plenty of opportunities for that in the future, so right now, I would have rather let Annabeth have her moment of hubris. I think that would have added a lot more. As for what Annabeth actually sees when she hears the siren song, I will confess the show actually fooled me. So instead of just seeing a vision of Athena and her father back together, Annabeth has a vision of Athena coming down, killing the siren, and praising her for setting a trap for them, which I genuinely thought was real, and I got really pissed off because, this show really has a bad habit of not letting the characters fail or be vulnerable at all, so I genuinely thought we were getting another moment of that. But then it cut to the sirens still being alive and actually trying to kill her, and I will confess, they rage baited me real hard. Good on you. You got me. Though I do find it kind of odd that they were willing to put in the effort to cast both Athena and Hilla for this episode, but not Beckendorf, Selena, the Stoll brothers, or Rachel for season 3. So yeah, I did not like this episode at all. It felt like a middle finger to fans of the book. That is the best way I can think to describe it. And with that, let's take a look at our bingo cards. Was Circe spared here? I mean, the pirates still attack, but at the same time, she appears later on in the episode and is perfectly fine. I'm gonna mark it. Annabeth did not stay lashed to the mast because she was not lashed to the mast to begin with. So they still changed that scene, just not in the way that I predicted, so it does not get marked. Percy and Annabeth recognize Circe. I've gone back and forth on whether or not I want to count this because they don't recognize her right away, but they do still recognize her early enough that they have to change some things to still drive the conflict. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I don't think Circe was epicified here. They did try to make her more sympathetic with the curse angle, but they didn't go the route of making her a protective figure like Epic did and like I thought they were going to do when I wrote this, so yeah, I'm not counting it. Polyphemus does not try to marry Clarice in this episode, so we can mark that down, and I believe that's going to be it. I don't know if anyone's got a bingo yet, but if you do, once again, post it in the Discord and I'll give you a shout out. And till next week, this is Optimus Philip, rolling out.